Good evening. Welcome to the Eastchester Board of Fire Commissioners budget hearing. This date is set by law. It's supposed to be the third Tuesday of the month and of October, and that's tonight. So we're having our annual budget hearing. So we pledge allegiance to the flag, gentlemen, and then we'll. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I would look for a motion to open the budget hearing.
I make a motion, we open the budget hearing.
I second it.
Baker and Jerry. Okay. On September 23rd, 2015, in the Journal News, a legal notice appeared describing our budget, and it described our overall budget as $16,517,666. The notice was properly sent, properly published, and we have the receipt of that being in the newspaper. John Molazari had that printed in the newspaper. So we did the appropriate notice on time with the proper notice, so that's been taken care of. This year's budget for 2016, the next year's 2016 budget, right now we have a proposed budget that was adopted at the September board meeting that shows us spending exactly the same amount of money as last year, within $1,000. So no change for the tax levy from the fire district. The positives, reason why we were able to do that, we've had some reduction in how much we have to contribute to the retirement system. We've also eliminated the mechanics position. We had, in the past year, the New Rochelle or United Water Company has changed their billing from municipal billing where they now bill residents. So if you live in Bronxville or Tuckahoe, you're getting your hydrant bill it's coming on your monthly bill from the water company, where it used to go to the municipality in the villages of Bronxville and Tuckahoe. Because Bronxville and Tuckahoe adopted a local law that said the water company has the right to charge you directly. In the Eastchester, the town outside the two villages, the Eastchester Town Board has not done that, and there's somewhat of a dispute going on between the fire district and the the town of Eastchester over that hydrant bill. The fire district believes it would be inappropriate for us to collect money from the village of Bronxville residents and Tuckahoe residents to pay the Eastchester itself hydrant bill. So that number in last year's budget was $132,000. We're eliminating that number from this year's budget. In essence, our budget is going down by $132,000. It'll be making up elsewhere. So we're going to come in flat year over year. We're not having an increase. The town supervisor sent us a letter disagreeing with our position, but I don't know how we can charge Tuckahoe residents and Bronxville residents for hydrant costs from somebody outside for the Eastchester town outside. So I know it sounds confusing, but that's a technical thing on the budget. The other items on the budget I'll just mention is the Office of Fire Prevention has been very busy this year. There's a number of large buildings going up in town. We suspect that next year there may need some additional overtime that is not in this budget right here, but if it comes to where they need it, I think the board next year should just move it over and give it to them. We can leave it in where it is now, but it's likely that they may run over what we have set aside for fire prevention next year, just because of the number of buildings and the hospital work they're doing. They do an extremely good job. We've had problems with the Eastchester School. They've had dedicated some extra time there. So that's one of the highlights of this, just a comment. We've also had some savings this year in the budget due to actually better policies of our treasurer and our front office. We had some procedural problems with recouping retirees' health care premiums over a number of years.
How much money was that, roughly?
Oh, Mike, was it about 15,
Talking about what had been lost or?
the on run rate of how much we're collecting back now? It's probably 8 times,
Well, we've
probably
actually.
$100,000 a year we're bringing
The
back.
monthly bill, now that we've straightened out almost all of them that are now contributing, like most retirees were for the family portion, I believe we're seeing close to 15,000 less per month.
Yeah, so that's about $170,000 a year. We are now, what happened was we had this billing problem where the prior treasurer just wasn't adequately billing or processing the healthcare payments. And so,
But that was, not to interrupt, but that was, if I remember correctly, just so everybody at home is following it, that was the roughly $800,000 bill?
It was $800,000.
yeah, the original number that we thought we had not collected was in the 800,000 category. We have since
Oh,
have
yes, over
reached
the course of.
Over the course.
also the
years.
course of a number of years.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
and we have reached out to those folks, and we've, most all of them have signed settlement agreements where they're deferring or deferred income settlement agreement on the balances of money they due us. So the majority of people who were in the camp that underpaid have come to some resolution with the fire district, which was some very time-consuming work over the last couple of years.
It wasn't that they underpaid, it was that they didn't pay.
That's right. They didn't pay they weren't charged their portion of the health care they should have been charged.
But we
Right, so they
straightened-
should have been paying their healthcare costs directly to the fire district, and they were not.
But
And
we-
we were not policing it.
There's two ways. It's, in retirement, a member does not get full medical. They have to
Right.
pay to maintain the spouse and family, pay half of that. Most were signed up for EPEN, pension deduction, come out of the state. But that's, if not, they were supposed to be billed by the department. We had many that the pension deduction never went through.
Right, the system requires
But then
the fire department to
They were
front pay
never,
that.
they were
and then
never actually
bill them.
properly
But
billed.
we've fixed that, and
It's
that's
all been
being,
fixed,
and that's
it's
being
all been
reflected,
corrected.
that savings is being reflected in this year's
Of
budget.
the 800,000, roughly, the settlements should amount to,
But it was about 40% over time we settled.
Okay.
And that's just money we're not going to have to pay out in the future, where we offset it against Medicaid Part B payments going forward. But the bottom line here is John Molazari, who took over as treasurer about 3 years ago, did an absolutely phenomenal job clearing up these accounting problems and these questionable accounting practices, and has fixed it. So that inures to a savings in our budget, and we've also, at the same time, we cleared up, we had several 207A problems and some workman's compensation underbillings. So those have been all resolved as well.
Good.
So Mr. Molazari did an absolutely extraordinary job fixing that, and hence last year we came in with a budget of down 75 basis points, or just slightly less than 1%. We reduced our budget, and this year we're going to come in flat again on our budget. So I think that's all good for the taxpayers. Also, we
No
hired
increase then,
8
right?
new firemen last year, and the new firemen work at a lower tax rate, a lower run rate than a 5-year fireman. So we got a blessing there. And I think the chief and the board did a better, we have had pretty good control over our 207A costs, and that's disabled retired firefighters. We've managed to limit those exposures. So overall, I think from the board's point of view, and the chief, we've had a very good year as far as containing costs. We've done well managing the department, hence we have a budget that is flat year over year. Any other commentary, gentlemen, or anybody from the board's point of view?
No, I'm just glad we got to this point. I think it's about 4 years to get here,
Yeah,
so
Yeah.
I'm very happy.
I'm happy not to increase the taxes.
Yeah, and taxes, the taxes, we should show, and if you looked at last year's tax bill for Eastchester, I think your largest savings, lower taxes down was the fire district last year. It might be the same thing again this year, I don't know.
And I really chalk it up to the fiduciary responsibility of the board. In the past, where financial issues weren't perceived as being very important, I think within the last 4 years, we've improved the process, improved our checks and balances, that for sure. I remember when I first got on, I wasn't even able to look at the books, account receivables, account payables, and we quickly got over that hurdle after we made some changes in the front office. So since then, I think that's probably the main reason why we're able to pass the last 2 years of budget without an increase.
I would
We have
say,
visibility to that, where in the past we weren't able to.
I would say our visibility to the monthly treasurer's reports and to well, right now, after this meeting, we'll have our monthly meeting, and we'll review every bill line item by line item in detail. And the chief has signed all the bills first, and then the process works, the treasurer looks at the bills, then the chief looks at the bills, then the board opines on the bills. Then, after the board approves the bills and signs off on the warrants, the next day the checks get issued.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting, because I remember being a citizen coming to the meetings, and Dennis, you were in charge of finance, but yet our previous treasurer would insist on not bringing the bills to the commissioners to evaluate or review, and I really couldn't understand how the board could approve those bills without even viewing them.
Well, that's
So
behind us.
That's behind us now. Now, actually, the board, you can probably see us every month or so, going bill by bill and questioning stuff, which we should be doing. Like I said, it gives us that visibility, it gives us that sense of ownership and fiduciary responsibility to look over those bills. So I'm glad we're at this point right now.
Okay. Any other board member comment? All right. Would anybody in the public like to address the board?
There's only one person.
We only have one person here, but
You want to come up? You don't have to tell.
Commissioner Baker, do you want to read the resolution to,
I would be honored. Okay, this is a resolution of the Board of Fire Commissioners to approve a final budget for 2016.
yeah, for 2016's budget?
I can't read this scribbled out. All right. Whereas the Board of Fire Commissioners of the Eastchester Fire District must adopt the proposed budget for 2016 and estimate of fund balances in preparation for the annual fire district budget hearing, and did so in preparation for the budget hearing, and whereas the Board of Fire Commissioners of the Eastchester Fire District held the annual fire district budget hearing on notice to the public on October 20th, 2015, and whereas the board has considered the proposed budget and comments received on the proposed budget on October 20th, 2015 at said budget hearing, and whereas the board has determined that the financial needs of the fire district and fire department for the fiscal year 2016 can be supported by a budget that would comply with the real property tax cap established pursuant to Section 3-C of the General Municipal Law, as the proposed budget for 2016 calls for a real property tax levy that will not exceed the real property tax cap, permitting only a .76, that's .76 increase in said tax levy. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Eastchester Board of Fire Commissioners hereby approves the final budget for the Eastchester Fire District for 2016, attached hereto and made a part of hereof in the amount of $16,517,616. I'll read that again, $16,517,616. Wow. Motion on the above resolution was offered by Commissioner Inclinon, seconded by Commissioner
No,
Baker.
that was, we got to fill
Okay.
that in.
All right, yeah, okay, so that's the resolution.
So you want to make that resolution?
I'll make the resolution.
And I'll second it, and I'll poll the board. Commissioner Laurie?
On the motion, I'd like to speak on it. I cannot vote to eliminate the mechanic's position, because I cannot, and you could tell me all you want that you're saving, I cannot believe that we are saving by not having a mechanic. Just, if the man doesn't come here from Ruscon, it takes two personnel to bring anything that has to be fixed, any vehicle or truck or engine across the Tappan Zee Bridge. It takes two men to go pick one vehicle up. And when the man does come here, he's on the record, on the clock, I guess you could say, from the time he's called to come here. So, on the motion for the budget, to eliminate the mechanic, I vote no. For the rest of the budget, I will
can't do
vote
that.
yes.
Can't-
It's either yes or no,
You got to say yes or an up and down vote,
or abstain.
or abstain.
Well, you have the ability to say yes, no, or abstain.
Well, that's how I leave my vote. I'll vote no on not eliminating the mechanic and yes on the rest of the budget. I could vote half on the budget.
No, you can't.
No.
Why can't you?
Because it's not the way the motion is on the budget. You can only vote yes, no, or abstain. You can't vote for, I mean, legally, you can't do that.
Yeah, it's either,
What you did now is fine.
Yeah, you made a
communicated
statement.
your
You
message,
put your-
you made it
you made your feeling known,
Right.
and you can vote no, and
That's
we
acceptable.
respect your opinion, and we move on.
Yeah, that's not, you're entitled to your opinion and everything.
I leave it at that, the way I said.
Okay. Commissioner,
I vote to approve the budget. I would say that we did try to hire, just to address Anthony's comments, we did try to hire a mechanic. It just turned out to be, too difficult to make it happen under terms that were acceptable to the board. And I think that even if we did have a mechanic, a full-time mechanic on the payroll, we would still be spending money to send apparatus across the bridge to Ruscon for repair for things that we couldn't do in-house anyway. So it's not entirely clear to me that it is costing us more money by eliminating that position. And I'm comfortable with the fact that we eliminated the position, and I vote for the budget as is.
yeah, and, thank you. Oh, Mr. Baker?
I would adopt Commissioner Incledon's comments on that. I respect Commissioner Laurie's concerns, and I'm glad he got to voice it on the record. But we can't vote for sections. It's either, the motion is all or nothing, so.
Right, so yes or,
Yes.
So I vote yes too, and actually, Commissioner Laurie actually asked Mary Lou in the front office to gather up all the bills for the previous 2 years, I believe, so that we can make some kind of assessment on what you said, on whether it's more expensive or not. So hopefully I'll get a chance to look at that, and at the next month's meeting, I'll share that with everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
and I'll say yes as well. We have a large bill this month, that we're going to approve shortly, for work to have a radiator put in one of the rigs. And it would be work that we couldn't do in-house. It required removing the cab to get to the radiator. We had a job this summer where tower ladder 17, the ladder had to come off. Was it this year, early this year? The ladder had to come off the turntable to
There were
get
issues with, it's referred to as the spindle.
the spindle, the ladder,
I'm
the
aware
boom
of those-
itself had to come off. So there would be
aware-
times
I'm
that
aware
things
of
got
those
sent out.
I'm aware of those major repairs, and I got nothing against it. But there's a lot of stuff that could be done in-house, whether we had a full-time mechanic or a part-time mechanic. That's the way I see it. I mean,
Yeah, and we tried.
that's my opinion.
Okay, so the motion carries, and we'll put you down, Mr. Laurie, as a no on that. Is that fair?
No.
You wanna be a
The
yes?
same way I said it.
You can't, there's no way you can do
You
that.
could- It's either abstain, yes or
abstain.
no.
You want me to abstain? Okay, I'll
No,
abstain.
no, we don't want
We're
you
not
to know.
asking
We
you.
want you to do what you want to do.
We want you to do what you think you should, but there's only three options in the world.
Yeah.
Yes, no, or abstain.
Go ahead, do what you want.
Can't.
Okay.
No, we can't.
Well, we'll just leave it as no vote, and that's it.
Well, that's an
No,
abstention.
leave it as abstain.
Oh,
Okay, that's fine.
You
Okay.
have to state it.
Thank you.
For you to state it.
No, it's just-
Okay, so,
His notes or his position is noted for the record, rightfully so.
So our budget passed, and that means year over year, your taxes will not change, for at least from the fire department's point of view. And I'd like to thank John Molzari for putting the budget together. He did it last month. He did a lot of work on it. We got together in July and August and did the forward projections, and were able to put the budget together. So this has been a multi-month process to make sure we're where we're supposed to be. And
On the salary that you're saving from the mechanic and his benefits, where is that money gonna be used for?
it'll be used if you look at we've increased based on the budget we just approved, we increased the line for vehicle maintenance. So, that's what we did.
I believe it.
Okay?
So, but I just want to thank John and Mary Lou Falcone and the chief and, for helping get this all together, and it's I think, a very good outcome. So with that, I
We
would.
don't have to do a 10, do we?
No, we don't have to do a 10 this year. We do have one issue. The town and I don't know if they released the cash yet, but they've been holding back 10% of the tax money, but I don't know if it's been released at this point.
To the best of my knowledge, we have not received any additional since the first payment.
Yeah, so,
And we are being a little stonewalled by the town.
yeah, the town is not cooperating, and I don't know if it's related to the fire hydrant issue, but people pay their taxes to the town, they collect it, and they're supposed to release it to us as soon as they collect it under New York State law. There shouldn't be any delay after, I think, May 15th or something. I have all the legal sites on that, and we still haven't received that last 10%, I don't think. So I'm hoping it's an oversight on their part and it's not something intentional,
So, but the last 10% is in reference to taxpayers that didn't pay their bill?
no, they
No,
just
it's not.
fell back.
Yes.
That's my
in a
point, I want
way.
to
Well,
clarify
that would
that.
be if taxpayers, but it seems odd that
Delinquent
10% of Eastchester did not pay their bill.
Right, but in other words, taxes are due April something, and then by a certain date in May, it's supposed to turn over all the receipts.
Right.
Well, it's our portion. Less if they've had, apparently, I guess about 10% of the taxpayers had not paid up in a timely fashion. But as those payments are received, we're supposed to receive our share as they're received. But
Right.
to date, I don't believe we've received. And it is hard to believe that 10% of Eastchester taxpayers haven't paid up. That
So
includes the
we as a fire
village's tax.
district could foil those tax
Yeah.
receipts?
Well, I called them and asked them if they could tell us how much they received, and they insisted that we send them a FOIL without just informing me.
Okay.
So let's
okay.
do that.
And the other, Mr. Wolf, who was a resident of Bronxville, who passed away, the late Mr. Wolf, years ago,
Yeah, he
did
should
in
investigate.
August of 2012, he spent quite some time researching this whole issue, and I found in my files the other day all Mr. Wolf's legal research, and it's quite clear the town supervisor has to release the money. When such monies are collected, the amounts thereto shall be paid to the supervisor of the town, and by himself immediately paid to the treasurer of the respective fire district. That's citing from a statement of law in 1953. So it's pretty cut and dry, so hopefully they'll release the money soon. I don't know why they're not. So other than that, we should probably close this meeting and have our regular monthly meeting, close the hearing.
The only thing I want to say is we'll have a copy of the final budget up on the eastchesterfd.com website, so if anyone's interested in that, we'll have it posted under documents, financial documents.
Okay, so I look for a motion to close the budget hearing.
Make a motion, go ahead. I'll second
Make a
it.
motion to close the budget hearing?
In a second. Mr. Baker, all in favor?
Aye. I make a motion that we open up the regular monthly meeting.
I'll second that motion. Good evening, welcome to the October meeting of the Eastchester Board of Fire Commissioners. We've already had a salute to the flag earlier, I don't know if we need to do that again.
You have to do it again because it's
Okay, we'll do another salute to the flag.
like it's
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I make a motion, we go to executive session?
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Folks, looks like we're gonna go into executive session. It'll probably won't be that long, I'm assuming 15 minutes or so. Then we'll be out to do our regular meeting. I just know the lawyer's available now at 8, so that's always a good thing.
right there.
Should have brought a plate with me. I could've-
You can go back, run back, get more food. Go and run
You
back.
want to bring the bills in?
I put a little plate together.
Start looking at them, maybe get out of here a little quicker.
Yeah, we should be able to get pretty quick tonight, I hope.
Yeah, until that other thing happens. Okay, so that should be under,
Accessibility, I think, or general?
Gentlemen, you ready? We're gonna be going back again.
Location.
Okay, I look for a motion to return to regular session from executive session.
So be it.
And Mr. Laurie, a second. Second is from Mr. Baker. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're back on the regular session for the Eastchester Board of Fire Commissioners. Chief Grogan, do you have a report this evening?
Yes, Commissioner, I'll keep it brief. Month of September activity, we actually had a total of 293 alarms. We provided mutual aid on 2 occasions and received it on 2 occasions. 14 of those alarms were actual fires that the guys kept from escalating. Vehicle maintenance rotation continues through the outside service facilities. We're keeping them pretty busy. Engine 28 and ladder 15 have since been returned to service. Ladder 15 is usable at this time. At this time, tower ladder 17 is up there for its much-needed, regular service and repairs, and it will also get third-party certification before being returned. Fire prevention office, as usual, very busy. A lot of building going on, as you mentioned earlier, so there are a lot of plans to review, but we are also in the month of October now, even though they started in September. Very busy with presentations, all the local schools and such for fire prevention, and he's working hard with that, using on-duty firefighters from time to time, and it's always well received. We've also started complete, the Station 2 ramp, the floor, everything was pretty much cleaned up. The lighting was replaced. We've been back inside there. There were some issues, apparently, with the specific LED lights that we got, for some reason interfered. I don't know why. The ones in Station 5 never interfered, but we ended up with a fairly simple fix recommended by our floor, the door service people. We just had to change about 250. We changed the receivers to a higher frequency, and it seems to work out fine.
For the door? It was interfering with the door opener?
The overhead doors, for some reason, with the lights that were put in, it was interfering. The truck side wouldn't work. The engine side supposedly kept working most of the time, and it was suggested that these particular lights were putting out some frequency that interfered, so a recommendation from Deegan Door, well, try a different receiver on a different frequency, and that seemed to clear it up.
That actually worked?
Yeah, apparently it must be radio frequencies given off. Why we have no problem Station 5? Station 5 is all LED lighting.
Because they're cheaper lights.
You know what? Maybe. I don't know. It just made no sense.
We opted for,
Yeah, no, it's just, it came out of left field. But I'm advised that it's all cleared up. So, otherwise, we're doing pretty good. One thing I just want to add, I know a lot of people might not realize we had an award ceremony earlier this evening. Everything I thought went quite well. Once again, I appreciate this board was very supportive of it, especially Chairman Winters actually did a lot of work on it. I thanked anybody then, but I do have to add, since we did break quick, I have to recognize, a good part of the members of the union really stepping up and seeing this as a good thing. What was put upstairs in Station 3, where everybody went for refreshments after, guys from off-duty coming in and supporting the members being recognized. I think it's a good thing overall, and it was a good feeling to see a good part of the membership stepping up and making something special of it. So I have to thank the members of Local 916 that participated and helped put this off.
Yeah, it worked out extremely well, and I think it went over very well, and yourself and Steve's members, Steve Radalone's members, all did a great job putting it together over there. And
yeah, no, it was nice to see. You arranged for the refreshments and stuff, but somebody that coordinated went up there. Everything was spread out. It was just good to see a lot of off-duty guys there, even the on-duty guys, seeing it for what it was, for a special night for members. And it was just good feeling. I mean, the room was full. I think we were a little surprised by the turnout.
Yeah, it was a good
In a
turnout.
pleasant way, a very
Yeah, it was all
pleasant
good.
way.
Very nice.
Yes.
Thank you, Chief. And again, we closed so quick, I didn't mention Lieutenant Pinto did quite a bit of work to get that all together.
He really took, through Captain Yazzo, and then he took it, he really ran with it. It is a lot of work. Okay, granted, we had some old incidents, we had to dig up a little stuff, but, you're putting a lot of things in place. And again, yourself, I don't know, you must have spent about 6 hours in the office that day working with Mary Lou, getting out letters and, yeah, okay, there was also other stuff, canvas letters, but, I don't know if it would have gone off the way it did.
It went off well.
If the help wasn't there, it would not have gone off.
It went off well. Okay, so let's, thank you, Chief. I have one set of minutes to present for the September 10th meeting that we need to approve. So I circulated the minutes by email earlier, and they were quite long. There were 10 pages to type up. So, which I typed up. I got all 10 pages there. They're probably full of typos, but would anybody like to make a motion to adopt the minutes?
I make a motion to adopt the minutes.
It's Jerry
I'll second it.
and Pete and Mr. Baker. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So that's those minutes aside. The treasurer's report, we had a budget hearing just prior to this meeting. We announced the budget year over year is unchanged, so that's all good. And so that's pretty much what I have for the treasurer's report tonight, is just to report that the budget year over year for 2016 will be flat year over year, no tax increase.
Yay.
Yes. We also have, coming up is we can do committee, we can do committee reports or go to the fire election. Let's do committee reports first. Is Commissioner Baker or Commissioner Lauria for career?
Again, it was a privilege to be actually handing the awards out tonight, so thank you for letting me do that. It was great to give them out, but also it was nice to close that loop and give one to a guy that I've known from the Boy Scouts, John Reichelt. They're all well-deserved and earned, but it's always nice when you see, somebody outside of this. And so that was a real privilege. And we're continuing the negotiations for, the next CBA. So there was a recent meeting which I was unable to be at because I was ill. Thank you for filling in. But I know that we're going to come back with a counter proposal and give it to the union and yell, the ball's in your court. So things are moving, but the climate and the back and forth has been very productive and not hostile, and we appreciate the professionalism coming from the union and their new management. So thank you, Mr. President.
Okay. Volunteers, I don't have anything right now for the volunteers, maybe later. House and apparatus, Mr. Incledon and Mr. Napolitano.
Chester Heights, FSI Architecture was in there on the 22nd of September. They said that their report, the facilities condition report, and their master plan was going to take 4 to 5 weeks to complete, so I'm hopeful we're going to get something back from them in the next week or so. When I get it, I'll disseminate it amongst the board. Hopefully, everyone will have time to review it, and we may be able to begin a discussion of that at our next meeting. We've also asked the Assistant Chief to dust off some specs for an engine that he had built about 2 years ago. We are in the process of beginning to look at replacement of certain apparatus, and so he's updating that. We'll send out some preliminary information to the board on that, and we've also been investigating options on financing new apparatus, both leasing and bonding. And as we do more work on that, we'll discuss it more at future meetings.
Okay, good. That's moving along.
The only thing I want to bring up is trying to get a status update from Mike on 2102.
Oh,
We got that on the agenda line,
Oh, okay.
on the bottom of the agenda line.
Want to talk about it now since we're talking?
We can talk about it now.
Yeah, I've seen that.
we're pretty, the goal is to put the notice out, try and get it out by the end of the week, but pretty much I'd received legal cover and stuff from Cheryl from the law firm. So just a couple blanks fill in, it should be ready to go.
Yeah, 'cause
I actually had it on my
the-
screen
the-
today, but,
The replacement, just to let the public know, of the captain's vehicle, that probably
Yeah,
gets the most
the
amount
command
of mileage
vehicle.
of any vehicle that we have in our fleet.
right.
We're
And
proposing
this
it.
should be more appropriate for how it's used,
So what we're talking about is going with
something like that.
a pickup truck body, and on the back of the pickup truck body gets fashioned a cab that's interchangeable from pickup truck to pickup truck as the pickup truck wears out, and you bid it out as a package, and we would use a third-party vendor who's supplying the truck to also put the radios in, all the equipment, the striping, all the gear that it gets, so when it shows up here, it's just, you start it and go. We don't have to put it in the shop and then modify from that point. It will come modified. So the package has gone out from the law firm. The law firm has edited the package, and we're ready to go out for bid after some slight tweaks. So that package will be out to bid. The build time on this vehicle is something like 9 months.
Yeah, hopefully they can move along, but,
So we're hoping to have the bid package out shortly, and the board will, opine on buying it probably at the
part of
December
what people
meeting.
have to write, the way things have changed and the way this vehicle used, part of the problem, for years we used Suburbans, they were great, but they were more utility back in the day. Now they're family vehicles. There's also been a lot of changes in FPA, and a big issue that this solves is equipment and loose equipment within the passenger compartment. This will separate everything. It's much safer, there's no chance of something coming flying forward if you have an accident, taking your head off, and,
What fun is that?
well, the fact is that it will also meet NFPA standards for this type of vehicle, and I think it's gonna work out excellent, the couple guys, we have a few guys heading the committee, both of them actually have mechanical backgrounds, they're also working the car, John Rochelle and Glenn Strawbridge, very instrumental.
Yeah, the only 2 cents that I put in on that vehicle was, we are ordering it with a backup camera, right?
Yes.
Mike?
Yeah, they are coming with backup cameras. I asked about
I'll
that
double
question.
check, but, they put the spec together.
Yeah.
But in this
I didn't see
case,
the final one, but that was
this
the only-
case, I believe, it's supposed to have one, it should be
supposed to
mounted up high, because you don't have the rear view window. There
Right.
is no through, it's a box on the back.
If this is like a standard pickup chassis, why does it take 9 months to build it?
No, it's the fabrication of the box and wiring and setting it all up.
They have to put our radios in. They have to put our
Well, the
our
box
radios-
itself is pretty elaborate, but what's ideal about this also down the road is what we originally looked for was a fabricated box that would get mounted to a chassis. And then in a few years, you get a new cab and chassis, send it back out, they switch it. This is actually more like those pickup campers, where it comes with 4 jacks, and eventually what we'll get, maybe next year, you get a backup pickup that's all wired up. You have an issue, 4 jacks, you raise it up, unplug, pull one pickup truck out. It's actually a pickup truck that's designed, built, and there's a lot of fabrication involved to make it fire apparatus. But ideally, then you just get another pickup, put all the basic setup to accept the box that you already own, because that's the biggest part of it. And instead of switching vehicles, you just pull the truck out and you back another one in. So it'll be more conducive going down the road. And who knows, maybe we get another one as a mini rescue down the road, see how it works out.
Yeah, that's what I like about it.
I have a feeling, talking from the rep, that these things have caught on a lot in the volunteer departments, and I can see how they would. Having a glorified pickup would be a good thing in a volley department, so. Budget and finance, only to mention there that we had the budget meeting and zero year over year, and all good, and thank John Molazari for putting the whole budget together. Peter, anything to add?
Nope.
Health and wellness, Jerry, you want to recap the meeting?
We make some progress. We got a large list of items that we're going to take care of. We're meeting on a regular cadence right now, and so that's mainly the main progress, is that we're meeting on a regular cadence and addressing these issues. The team is very proactive, I think, on both sides, so on the district side as well as with the firefighters team. So I was real happy how we came together in our last meeting and really had all agreed on what should be done. So it's going well.
As far as projects for 2015, Commissioner Laurie was on the Tuckahoe project quite a bit and got that's all been put to bed. Anything there?
I'll just repeat what Peter said. We were down in Chester Heights going over stuff, and as he mentioned to the chief, there is, downstairs, there's a lot of unnecessary stuff that could be tossed out. And, you know, I'm sure we're gonna get it all tossed out when we do the work in there, but it seemed like everybody parked all their stuff down there, and it just took up room, and whatever's down there is never gonna be used again. And I think it's time that it all should be thrown out.
Good idea.
You know, we may actually try to auction it first. Ultimately, a lot of it may go in the trash, but like a lot of municipalities will basically engage an auction company that will come in, photograph everything, and then set up a live auction, and then people will come in if they've high bidder and take it off the premises for us, and hopefully put a couple of dollars in our coffers. So I think that would be the best way to go, is to start to get rid of that stuff.
I saw something we could look at for a slight project today, and I was watching at Station 1, we have the traffic light, and for some reason or other, the stripes have been taken off the street by the traffic light, so cars don't know exactly where to stop when they see the light, and as our rigs stop to make the turn to come back, some people will be right underneath the light, some people will be back. So I think we need to have the town or the state, whoever puts those stripes in, restripe Station 1 where for the traffic control striping, so,
What about the highway department? Don't they?
I'm not sure who does it, but it may be something.
Actually, I'm going to call Chief Bonsi on that. I think the police actually handle the striping.
I only noticed it because I watched some Range Rover sit there as the lady was sitting in the Range Rover as the truck is trying to maneuver around her. It just seemed to me we should have a stripe there. So that's that for committee reports. Now we'll go into tonight's business. We have a fire district election on December 8th. For those who follow the fire district year after year, we did successfully get New York State to change the law on fire district elections for Eastchester. The law has been modified. We could have a November election, but the two people over at Westchester County Board of Elections, the one Republican, head of the Republican Party, and then the head of the Democratic Party for Westchester County, have refused to commit to letting us have a November election. So because of those two people who were appointed by the Westchester County Board of Westchester County legislatures, what are they? They were appointed by Westchester County legislative body. They have just stonewalled us, and they're not letting us have the November election. Then we tried to have the law passed again this year, and that died in the New York State Senate after it was passed by the Assembly. So we're back to having a December election again this year. It'll be the second Tuesday in December. It'll be just like we always have, the 5 polling locations. The hours will be between 2 and 8. If you're interested in running, you have to gather 25 signatures on a petition. You come to the firehouse, we get your petition. Email us, we'll get your petition, and
It's going to be up on the website.
it'll be up on the website. So that's the fire district election. We've every year we contact about 40 people to be poll watchers. This is the last year that we're going to be allowed to use them green machines, the old levered machines. And that's because New York State Legislature, again, was supposed to pass an extension to use the green machines going after this year, but they didn't pass that legislation this year. So it looks like this year will be the last year we legally can use green machines. And after that, you have to go to the computer machines, and therefore we'll have to print thousands and thousands of ballots. And these elections generally get just a few hundred people sometimes voting. So it's one of those elections where your vote really counts. So we encourage people to come out and vote. It counts more than most elections because the turnout's so small. So as a percentage, you have great influence at coming out to vote. That said, we have a series of resolutions, and so I'm going to read one of them. Whereas Section 175 of Town Law provides for a system of registration for fire district elections, and whereas a registration of eligible fire district voters must be prepared prior to the fire district election, and whereas such registration shall be prepared from names of persons who have registered with Westchester County Board of Elections. Now and therefore be it resolved that the following resident electors of the Eastchester Fire District are hereby appointed to constitute the Eastchester Fire District Board of Elections for 2015 annual fire district elections. Chairman of elections is Thomas Andres, Andruss. Have I said that right? Andrews. And we thank Tom for volunteering to do this every year. It's very good of him. And be it further resolved that the fire district chairman of elections be compensated in the amount of $50 for his service, and that the Board of Elections be compensated in the amount of $50 for their service in preparation of the registration books, and that the following be appointed as election inspectors of the fire district to be held on Tuesday, December 8th, 2015, that they be compensated in the amount of $50. So basically, most of all these people are volunteering to do this. And this is New York State law requiring us to only give out.
On the salary wise, I mean, Tom does a lot. I mean, he uses his own car, go traveling around. He works hard on this, and he doesn't do this overnight. So I suggest we increase it for Tommy.
We can't.
Why
New York
can't
New York State law precludes us from doing it.
you? You know,
We actually investigated pretty extensively.
okay, you know what?
We tried.
Years ago, those people that were on the board used to get
No,
paid.
you gotta go tell the
Excuse
governor.
me, I'm sorry.
You gotta tell the governor.
Okay, no, let him finish.
The people the poll watchers, years ago, because I first started on that, and they only got, I think it was $7 an hour. And I went to the board when the board was up in Eastchester, and I think Commissioner Cade was on the board at that time. And he approved an increase on that time, because otherwise, those people were only getting $7 an hour. And as I said, we increased the poll watchers, and how do you increase a salary for Tom?
You can't, because even though technically he'll be working for less than minimum wage, which is like, how can you pay somebody less than minimum wage? This is the only place I know where you're allowed to pay somebody less than minimum wage. And the way it works is New York State legislature and the New York State law. And because the way it works is they don't want, most of these fire districts, we're unique. Most of these fire districts have very small budgets. They're volunteer companies, and they don't want people handing out checks to people who are going to operate the election, because in a lot of districts, like I know a district out in Long Island where I have a summer home, they might get 100 people voting in the whole election. We'll get a few hundred more than that, but they don't want money to be a driving force of people volunteer for these elections. The reason why they do December elections, I think, is because they were probably supposed to be Christmas parties where they appointed their board members, who were the fellow volunteers appointing their board members. So I don't think these are not well-designed elections, and that's why we tried to get New York State to change it November. We were successful, and if the complaint is to be had, it's with the people who run Westchester County Board of Elections for not allowing us to put it on the November ballot. If it was on the November ballot, we would spend no money and we'd spend no time doing this. We wouldn't. We'd be on the November ballot, one line, and we're done.
How come the board raised it from $7 years ago and up?
They can have done whatever they wanted. What they did was illegal and was actually a perpetration of a fraud and a felony.
They might have done it within,
Yeah, you can,
You can't do it. I don't disagree with you, Commissioner. I mean, I think it's ridiculous, the amount of money that
It is.
For the amount of time that Tommy puts in there, it's ridiculous.
Totally agree,
to give that man
but the
$50.
law is clear that we can't spend, I know.
That's a shame, really.
Well, again,
That's why we. that's why we
and again,
get up here.
complain to your legislatures, or your legislators, rather, that control all this stuff. I don't disagree with you.
there was a time when this board used to pay the secretary-treasurer to be the inspector $1,000 or something a year. And when it came to our attention that was improper, that practice got stopped. That was several years ago. And that
And the
practice,
lawyer used to go around with her.
Well,
The lawyer used to go around to every polling place with her, with one volunteer fireman.
well, that's
Well, that
the,
was fraud.
That
not
was fraud?
fraud. Fraud may not be the right term. I don't think that's the right term. But,
I'm just telling you, that was the policy for years.
I'm pretty sure they knew
well,
what they were doing.
the point is, the law in carved in stone, it's $50. That's it.
We
You
have
can't
no
do anything about
discretion
it.
there. But if somebody wants to bring that up to the legislators, we'd be more than happy to.
Okay, so now I gotta figure out where I was finished off reading. Be it resolved that the Eastchester Fire District Chairman of the Board, Chairman of Election be compensated an amount of $50 for his services, and the Board of Election be compensated an amount of $50 for their service in preparation of the registration records, and the following appointed as election inspectors for the fire district to be held December 8th, 2015, and that be compensated in $50. There's a lot of $50 there. Okay, so now we have a list of about approximately 30 people. I'm not going to read off the names, and they've been assigned to different polling places. What we've done is, to make it less painful for people, we split the polling hours up from 2 to 5:30, and then from 5:30 to 9, because we didn't think we were going to get 50 people there for 7 hours for $50. We didn't think that would be fair. So we shortened the time per polling place, and that's what we have. So we have a group that's going to be there from 2 to 5:30, and then another group from 5:30 to 9. And these people that do this, we thank them for doing it. We thank these folks for doing this. They really come, the same folks come out every year. They offer to do it, so that's what we have. So be it further resolved that in the case that any member appointed herein is unable to, or refuses to assume the performance of the duty required of them, the Board of Fire Commissioners will appoint alternatives who are resident electors and assign locations as needed. So can I get a motion to accept this resolution?
I'll make the motion.
Peter, and a second
Second it?
is Jerry, and I'll poll the board. Commissioner Laurie
Yes.
and Commissioner Inkledon
Aye.
and Commissioner Napolitano
Aye.
and Commissioner Baker.
Aye.
And I'll say aye. So the motion carries. So then we have another motion. Okay, we have to, we actually have, be resolved, the fire commissioners. Okay, so now we have to pick polling places. Be it resolved that the Board of Fire Commissioners of the Eastchester Fire District have hereto appointed the Board of Elections to comply with registration and voter procedures set forth in Section 175 and 175A of Town Law. Does hereby designate December 23rd, the 23rd day of November 2015, between the hours 1 and 4, as the date and time of the meeting of the Board of Electors to prepare the registration rolls for the annual Fire District election. The Fire District election will be held on Tuesday, December 8th, between the hours of 2 p.m. and 9 p.m. at the following locations: Leroy Gregory American Legion Hall, 40 Bell Road, Scarsdale, New York; Eastchester Town Hall, 40 Mill Road, Eastchester, New York; Tuckahoe Community Center, 77 Columbus Avenue, Tuckahoe, New York; Bronxville Village Hall, 200 Pondfield Road, Bronxville, New York; Union Corners Fire Station, 10 Oregon Avenue, Eastchester, New York. Be it further resolved that the legal notice informing the residents electors of the Eastchester Fire District of this meeting to be published one time by the Fire District Secretary in the official newspaper of the Eastchester Fire District between November 4th and November 11th, 2015. After reading the resolution, okay, now I need a motion to
I make the motion.
That is
Second it?
Baker and Mr. Jerry. Okay, Mr. Laurie
Aye.
and Mr. Aye, and Mr. Baker
Aye.
and Mr. Napolitano.
Aye.
And I'll say aye. And Mr. Laurie, in case you're noticing this, you see the ayes already in the form. It's a cut and paste from last year. We just, these things are repetitive.
That's what confused me earlier.
And now, we have a legal notice that we're going to put in the paper. I don't think I need to read the whole legal notice because it's just, so attached is the legal notice that I gave everybody a copy of. The annual notice, which says exactly what I just said. It gives the locations of the polling places, and that's what we're going to put in the paper. So, any questions there? Any questions on the legal notice? It's all fine. We don't need to do a motion on that. I think it's fine. And that's going to be published on November 5th. So that's where we are with the election process. One thing I didn't mention, fire board seats are good for 5 years. It's a totally volunteer position. In case you're new to the community, the Eastchester Fire District, it covers Bronxville, Tuckahoe, and Eastchester, employs approximately 75 people, has a budget just shy of $17 million. With the Bronxville Firehouse is part of the Eastchester Fire District, as the Tuckahoe Firehouse is part of the Eastchester Fire District, Chester Heights Firehouse, Eastchester Fire District, Wilmot Road Firehouse, Eastchester Fire District, and Main Street is Eastchester Fire District. So those are the 5 firehouses. The board membership is completely voluntary, no compensation whatsoever.
Actually, we get a fabulous meal once a year.
And we had an award ceremony tonight for the first time in 10 years, and we did get a slice of a hero, so you do get that. So,
The other thing I want to bring up for people that aren't aware, we have a pretty extensive budget, $17 million, right? So just to give everyone a perspective out there that might be listening to this, $17 million is more than the budget of Bronxville and more than the budget of Tuckahoe. So you should take, as taxpayers, us just as serious as any of those mayors or executives that are managing that budget. It is $17 million of your money. I would take real good notice on your tax bill of what percentage of your tax bill is being, taken out to support the fire district, and be cognitive of that and be aware of it, that we are a separately organization, very similar to how your school district works, and we're not influenced by any of the local governments, but yet we have a lot of money that we manage from the taxpayers. Like I said, $17 million, more money than the budget of Bronxville and more money than the budget of Tuckahoe, to give you a perspective of that. So I would take the election very seriously, please.
well said. Okay. Next item on the agenda tonight is replacement card 2102. We've already discussed it. Following item on the agenda is non-smoking policy regarding the firehouses. Our firehouses are smoke-free. Occasionally, a rare occasion, you'll see a fireman standing in front of the house smoking. The board would like not to see firemen in front of the house smoking on fire district property. So if someone chooses to smoke, they should do so out of public view. The children and kids going by look up to firefighters, and we just think it's probably not great policy to have them standing in front of the house smoking. The others come to our attention that e-cigarettes are being smoked. The smokeless cigarettes, I don't know what you right technical term is for them.
It's called vaping. It's vapor.
Vapor cigarettes.
Right.
And make it clear that those cigarettes are not to be smoked in the firehouse either, or in the apparatus. So,
Or in front.
yeah, we don't, the membership has come to us saying, please, well, the representatives of the membership's committee has said, and I think it's perfectly fair that they shouldn't have them smoking in the firehouse. And so that's, any different disagreement on the board, or?
You're talking about just in the front of the firehouse?
Firehouse grounds in general, I think, should be
You're talking about
smoke-free.
just in the front?
I think there are people who are going to smoke.
Yes.
And you don't want to chase them all the way off the firehouse completely. So what they do now is they go to the back of the firehouse and smoke. I don't have such an issue with that, as long as they're in the parking lot somewhere. I don't think it's fair that they're in front of the firehouse smoking.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
So if the man,
So there's designated,
Also
we'll have
talking-
designated.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. If the man goes in the back of the firehouse, it's
Not in
okay.
view, not in view of the public.
Okay, that's exactly what I'm asking.
Right, but also talking about adding these so-called e-cigarettes or vaporizer things
I'm not
people
disputing that, chief.
to the same policy of not
Yep.
indoors.
I'm not disputing
Or
that.
apparatus.
Yeah, so we would take e-cigarettes or vaping devices to be treated the same way as lit
Okay,
cigarettes,
no problem.
lit tobacco products.
Are we allowed to chew? Are they allowed to chew?
Yeah, chew or snuff, I don't know.
That'll be next. That'll be next. That'll be the next
That'll
one.
be next.
Gum is good, isn't it?
Gotta buy spittoons.
So, okay, so that's on the cigarette smoking policy. We currently have, and if you watch the award ceremony early tonight, there was a number of members received special recognition for a trench rescue. That trench rescue was performed using a tool at the time we had bought several months before that trench rescue called a Hamatro tool. And that tool has a hydraulic pump, and they used it to clear the air around to clear an airway around the chest of the trapped person by using this portable device. Am I saying that right, Chief? And they were able to give them more room to breathe.
Well, what happened, we had just recently acquired that. We had changed over to Almatro on engine 27 is our primary rescue vehicle. The pump for the tools, the hydraulic, is on board, but I also acquired, it's a portable power unit where you can bring the tools and bring it to a remote location. That was in the rear. What we're looking to do now, because our old equipment went on to engine 30 as backup or secondary, we're finding ourselves on the parkway a lot more often, and the equipment that was our old stuff is reached its life.
Right, so you've
So
stole
we're
my
looking to
segue.
replace it, and we want to do it like equipment and another portable unit with new spreaders and cutters.
Right, so during the ceremony earlier, we learned about how having this extraction tool was critical at the time we got it, and the men were trained with it, and it worked out very well for that fellow that was in the trench. Our current tool is, as the chief said, used up its useful life. We're finding the new cars have steel in their window frames and their door frames that we can't cut as easily with the old Jaws of Life. These are called Jaws of Life for the older machines. We're using a Hamatro tool, which is really a Jaws of Life with a different name. So the request came the chief's requesting that we buy another Hamatro tool to match our existing Hamatro tool, so we have standardized equipment between the rigs. So it's going to be about a $20,000 purchase, and we just want to make sure people are, the board's aware of it.
$20,000 range.
About a $20,000 purchase. So their existing tool's about 25 years old, and we're having trouble clipping panels.
Mike, did the guys get formal training on electric vehicles?
We've had some presentations, but, it's limited what's out there.
What's
Yeah, they use, there's online stuff, but, there's
I mean, it's
been
being
courses
pretty prolific.
given
very
by the
prolific in
county.
Westchester, as you know. So,
No, we have, like guidebooks, everything on the different vehicles, locations of the wires, and,
Solar panels, the same thing. Solar panels, the same.
yeah, solar panels, I mean, you got issues even at night when you illuminate the rooftops. with this
problem
New
with
York
solar
State
panels,
incentive.
there's no way to turn them off.
That's right, that's kind of my point. And,
Well, we've had that, the roof of the community center, Dentucco's had them 30 years. I mean,
well, it's just going to get,
it's one of the original
I
ones.
don't know if you noticed, but New York State has a pretty big incentive now for solar power.
Actually, I
There's
mentioned to Mr. Commissioner Inkledon, I'd love to see it on Station 4
Yeah,
as part of the
several
project.
companies have been approved. So we're going to see more and more of this. And solar panels actually will energize in the night.
I can't even see it.
Voltaic cell.
Voltaic.
So they will actually energize from the scene lights even at night. So there's power will be on them even at night.
Yeah, no, that's always, but we've known that for years. Like I said, the community center Tuckahoe was one of the first one. It was New York
I just
Power
want to make sure the
Authority.
guys are sensitive to that, that's all.
I think they got that. So I just wanted to make the board aware, the chief's going to be spending $20,000 to buy a Hamatro tool, hopefully in the near future. The last one we purchased was rather timely. Hopefully this one won't be as timely for need, but it was good to have.
Do we need a motion on that?
I don't know if we need a motion, just the chief can do it within his budget, I believe. And we just want to make it, it's a large purchase, he wanted the board to be aware of it.
Okay.
We also need to purchase a defibrillator for Tower Ladder 17. We're going to purchase an additional defibrillator for that rig. It's, I think, the only rig we have that doesn't have one. The ladders, so I think that's where we're getting a defibrillator for that one. That was the request of the Health and Safety Committee. We need to set a date for the lieutenant and captain's exams. We are slight one captain from how we used to be. So we sent out the canvas letters. We gave them an anticipated date of the November meeting, which would be the second Thursday in November. I think it's the 12th possibly,
I'm not going to be here.
because it's,
Yeah.
that's a memorial, that's a military weekend. I know that's,
The 11th is this, Wednesday.
yeah.
So the 12th is Thursday? Is that when you're having it?
Well, the meeting would be 12th, November 12th, which is the day after
Veterans Day.
Veterans Day, the 11th day, the 11th month, the 11th year,
yeah.
11th hour.
I'm telling you right now, I will not be here. I will be on military duty.
Okay?
I would actually prefer to do those interviews on a Sunday morning at headquarters, review the bills. If people have availability, it's easy for the board, rather than a marathon session here on a regularly scheduled meeting date.
Sounds good to me.
People are in town.
You're in town Sunday?
I will check and see if I'm back or if I can be back in town.
Okay, because I have to check the vacation calendars of the 6 individuals to make sure we're
I'll
not.
have an answer for you in 24 to 48, is that all right?
Okay.
But
I'm good for
I
weekends
concur with my
too.
colleagues on the end.
I'm perfectly fine
I'm
for
not good for
weekends.
Saturday, I'm good for Sunday.
I'm good, I can make it, I don't know if it's, well, they're firemen, they can come in on Sundays, they're used to doing that. Is that fair, Steve?
For that, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So we're going to be interviewing, the civil service laws require us to interview 3 of the highest scorers. We pick 1 out of the 3. From my way of thinking, it's one of the most unpleasant things to do as a commissioner is to promote people, because there's always 3 highly qualified candidates, and you're only allowed to pick 1, and it's usually heartbreaking. That's my own personal view of it, but that's what it is.
So are we going on November 15th? Or
We'll pick a date, we'll circulate a date, and we'll try to hammer it down. Is that good for all?
Yep, but Sunday sounds good.
Good for, yeah, we can try to circulate a date.
Sounds good to
Sunday
me.
prior to
The 15th is my wife's birthday, but we'll see how that goes.
15th?
No, he didn't make that specific.
Okay, okay.
We're going to send the date around.
Yeah.
We'll send a date around and
No,
we'll
Mike
circulate
just
it.
asked if it was-
Okay, so now on the next thing, volunteer applications. Mr. Baker, are you following me here?
Entire life.
Nice?
Yeah, I'm
Okay. So on volunteer applications, can we just follow?
sorry.
Okay, volunteer applications. I would like to join the would like to join the patrol company, and the reason being for that, Jerry, can I focus here? Yes. I would like to join the patrol company, and I think Mr. Baker is in the same way of thinking. And I have a summer house out on the east end of Long Island, and I watch what they have going on there this summer fairly closely, and it turns out that they have a really problem with volunteers, a real serious problem with volunteers. They only have a handful for a whole community, of a very large community in the summertime. But they do have is a fire patrol, and the fire patrol just basically does traffic support during these fires, that they have accidents or fires, where they support the fire department just trying to limit access to the fire scene and that type of thing.
Classic example is what happened in that fire not too long ago, where they actually, the police inadvertently, trying to maintain stuff, blocked access to the hydrant and other things like that. So
Yeah.
had there been, we have a patrol company, even nobody's in it, correct?
Correct, yeah, it's basically an act.
They would have been able to direct traffic. I'm not-
Right.
And may I ask a question? In order to join one of these companies, a member of that company has to sponsor you.
Well,
So who is sponsoring you 2 gentlemen?
the deputy chief, Mr. Medina, was going
He's
to...
not a member of that company, he's a member of the Waverly Engine Company.
Well,
He can't sponsor
We don't
you.
we don't
It has
have
to
any
be a-
members.
It has to be an individual from the company you're joining to sponsor you.
But there there isn't any members.
I understand that, but that's who has
started.
We're going to start the company.
Well,
Because there aren't
Then
any,
you gotta get a resolution to start it, you gotta go through the state to start it and all that.
we have it, it's just it doesn't have any members at this point in
How many
time.
members in it? The company exists, there's just nobody in it.
That's what I'm saying, so who's sponsoring you? The deputy chief cannot sponsor you.
Well, he's the, I think, the highest ranking guy in the department, isn't he? In the volunteer department?
Yes.
But he is not a member of that company, he's a member of the Waverly Engine Company. So how could he sponsor you? It's the same way, I'm a member of the Tucker Hose Company, I can't sponsor you into the hook and ladder.
We'll see how it goes out. Well, here's what, so, Chief, I have two applications here, myself and Mr. Baker. You can pass it down to the chief. And Deputy Chief Medina has no problem with
Yeah,
it.
but Chief Grogan can't override that.
So the board's not, we're not open for right now for discussion.
I understand that.
Well, then,
If you look at the application on the back, it says that it has to be filled out by a company member,
there are no members.
company officers. But then you bring it to the next volunteer company and you join that company.
There are none.
What do you mean there are none?
There aren't any patrol companies. There aren't any patrol
It
companies.
doesn't
in
matter.
Eastchester.
Listen,
But,
patrol company
we're not opening it up for
served its
discussion at this
purpose,
point in
and it
time.
may serve a purpose out on eastern Long Island, but it doesn't serve a purpose here.
Oh, that's-
What your intention is to do is to control the scene or to set, or direct traffic. You're taking a job away from a police officer.
No, actually not.
Yeah, you are.
You can, no.
Trust me,
No.
that's what you're gonna do. And the town of Eastchester has auxiliary
Please,
police.
please do me a
We'll give
favor.
you-
Listen, I'm just telling you what you're doing.
We're not having this
open up for the
discussion right
public
now. The
right now.
board is discussing, you're not a member of the board. Please take a seat.
Okay.
We'll open to the public.
All right, open it to the public.
So, we don't open this, so, my view is, we don't, right now, the volunteers, we have been working for a year or 2 years, trying to 3 years, as long as I can remember, to get some traction on the volunteer department. We've gotten traction on almost everything else we've done in this department, whether it's house repairs, budget, finance, we've gotten traction, we haven't gotten traction on the volunteers. So rather than be on the other side of the wall with the volunteers, Mr. Baker and I are offering to come on the other side of the wall and join the club.
That's
And
great.
then we'll see.
If you do it legally.
We
That's
are.
great.
Well, there's no one in the, we went and reached out to the deputy chief, who is the highest ranking. Excuse me, I have the floor. Who is the highest ranking member of the department.
Grogan doesn't run line 16.
Can you,
Just please refrain. Excuse me, you
we'll
can
give you time
refrain.
to speak. Let the commissioner.
Go ahead, finish.
So that's where I'm at. So I am at, and Mr. Baker, you can opine.
I concur with what you said. We have a company that exists that we've asked to see who's in what company. I would have gone to, if Joe Jones was in that company or somebody told us who was in that company, we've asked that question 14 times, I would have gone to that guy. I'm stuck going to the deputy chief because he's the highest ranking person in the department. I understand what you're going to say, Commissioner Laurie. I understand what you're going to say. There's nothing, so then basically what companies are there?
So you're basically saying you would have gone to those company members if you knew what the company members were, or who they
Well,
were, which we don't know who they are.
I went to the only person I know who's ranking in the volunteer department, who, I know that, and that, he said, put me down as a sponsor. Correct?
He cannot do that, I don't care what he told you, Commissioner Baker.
Well, I would like-
He cannot do that.
That's
He
your
could
opinion.
he could put you want to join the Waverly Engine Company? He's a member there. He could put you down for there. You want to join that one? It's fine. But he cannot sponsor you for the patrol company. I couldn't even sponsor you for the patrol company. I'm a member of the Tucker Hose Company. Tommy's a member of Union Corners.
So we have 3 companies now that exist? That's more than we knew going in.
But you can't put yourself to join the patrol.
We have 3 companies?
Pardon me?
We have 3 companies?
Sure, you got members in those companies.
Who are they?
In which company?
Either one of the 3.
I got the names, but I can't read them off to you right off here now.
Just said he was a member of the hose company.
I tell you, I'm a member of the Tucker Hose Company.
And nobody else? There's nobody else there?
No, there's members there, sure there is. And when we have our monthly meeting, we take attendance. Commissioner Winters, you're the volunteer chairman, you should be there at the meeting.
Okay, well, I'm offering to be there as a member of the patrol company, because I think the patrol company is where this department should be heading.
Okay, now, if you want to be a member of a different company, the man has to come here that's sponsoring you, introduce you to the board has to vote on you. Now, you're gonna vote on yourself?
No.
No, we'll abstain from
We'll
ourselves.
abstain.
Okay. So get the man who's sponsoring you, he has to bring you here, introduce you to the board, and I'm sure you know the board, but he's the one who introduces you to the board, that he's proposing you for
There's no
membership.
one, there's no one living that we know of who's in the patrol company.
So
They don't
why-
exist.
So why did you pick that company? Why didn't you
Because the
pick
patrol
Waverly? Why
company
didn't you
is
pick
what-
Tucker
The
Hose
patrol
Company?
company is where the department should be heading. Because that's what
We
departments
used
do.
to have that there, but the membership died. What could I tell you? The last member that I knew was a member of the patrol company was Commissioner O'Brien. And he was the last member that I remember was active in that company.
In order for us to bring this thing forward, or move this in the right direction, I think this is the right way to go. I would make a motion to appoint Commissioner Baker to the host company, to the patrol company. Would somebody
How could
else
you
like
do
to
that?
second that?
You can't do that. Just because you're the commissioner, you're going to appoint Commissioner Baker to
Making a
be a
motion.
member?
I'm making a motion, I'm looking for a second.
I can't see that. You don't have the authority to appoint somebody into another company.
We appoint people all the time to volunteer companies. It's what this board's done forever.
That's right. You're absolutely right.
Because they're under 18,
They were 16 years old.
underage.
They're able to take their training.
Jerry, do you want to second it?
Tommy, as far as that's concerned, I'm sorry, I'm not aware of a junior program in Eastchester.
We had
Stay
an
on topic.
Excuse me, can we stay on topic and just move on here? I'm looking for a second, is there to make Mr.? Okay, I'll poll the board. Mr. Laurie,
No.
Mr. Inkledon,
I'm voting no. I just, unless I have, listen, the whole issue with the volunteers was that, we suspect that rules aren't being followed. And unless I know definitively what the rules are to join this company, which right now I don't know what they are. Anthony's saying one thing, you guys are saying another. I need more information.
Look it up in the
I'm not
rules and
gonna-
regulations.
I'm not gonna vote on it until I know. So, generally speaking, I think it's, a good idea for you to join the company. But I want to make sure that it's, that the process is being followed before we do it. So, let's vote again next meeting. And by that time, I'll have the information I need.
he's
So
not
it's
going
a
to be at
no.
the next meeting.
So you got a poll, you made the resolution.
Okay, he's a no. Mr., I'll say yes.
Yes.
Yes, and
I can't vote
Abstains.
for myself, I would abstain.
Abstain.
How could you vote for
Okay.
yourself?
I'm not even vote for myself.
You voted for Mr. Baker to join the
Yes.
patrol company?
It's 2-2, and it's abstain, so it stands 2-2. Motion does not carry.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so the next order of business. Volunteers will stay as they are.
So I just want to reinforce actually what the chairman said. I mean, if you have any vision of where if we want to have any vision, the board, of where volunteers should be in the future, based on track records that I've seen here,
Or lack
more than,
thereof.
4 years on the board now, 3 years as a public person coming to the meetings before that. So in total of 5 years, I have not seen a single value in the volunteers in the Eastchester Fire District. None whatsoever. I've been asking almost every time I come up here, give me a list of what fires these volunteers attended to. And something that's really disturbing to me fundamentally is this. The one key thing that volunteers need in order to know to go to a fire are pagers, right? They've been offered up to the firefighters. If they're getting toned out, why are they not coming to the scenes?
Because we don't want them at the scene, they're not
Okay,
trained.
but they can help. If the chief was there or the incident commander was there, he might give them some level of duty if they show some level of being proactive and wanting to get involved over these years.
We authorized them to come back to scene support a couple of
For
years
scene
ago.
support, right. But fundamentally, if you don't know how to get to the scene or when a scene is occurring, and no one even wants to carry a pager to be notified, what volunteer department do we have? How would you guys even know that there's a fire? We don't have whistles in town anymore. So,
Look at,
so let
Jerry.
me finish. So, that being said, I don't see any value in the volunteers. I'm sorry. And going forward, on the most part, maybe this should be seen as a ceremonial unit, which would bring value, because I believe really strong in continuing tradition in the fire department. And if that's the way it goes, there's value there. And there's value on scene support, such as Commissioner Baker and Commissioner Winter want to move forward with. But other than that, I see no value. I'm sorry to say that.
The volunteers right now have stonewalled every attempt this department has made, every one, to get access to any of their financial data. Anybody who's read any newspaper about volunteers, and not all volunteers, but we've had numerous incidences of volunteers who went under the radar where there's been a lot of irregularities with the monies under their control.
But that's got nothing to do with us.
Sure it has all the-
If other departments
Let me
have done-
finish what I'm saying.
You know, I emailed you on that situation, that this happened in the paid department, in this department, and you didn't want to respond to me, Dennis.
No, let's just
No,
say
no,
what we
no,
got.
don't,
Please,
I
let's
take
stop.
offensive to that.
Let's
What
stop.
happened in Mayapack is none of our business.
What happens in Eastchester is our business. We
That's
should
right.
know,
But-
we should know how much money is in the volunteers' accounts, in their bank accounts, how much the benevolent is spending, where they're spending it, what they're spending it on, and we've been stonewalled every step of the way. If I was a member of the patrol company, I would have standing like any other member has to get the questions, and if I didn't get the questions, I'd have standing to go to court to get them.
Then you gotta go find their books. Where's their books?
We have not been able to get from this volunteer department, any one of the departments, the barest minimal thing. So by crossing the Rubicon and becoming a member, we would have had complete access to their books legally
So that's your,
from an inside point of
that's your
view.
scheme, just to join to see
Not a
what's in their
scheme,
book. Yes,
and
it
at the
is.
same
You're just
time,
saying it.
and at the same time, we provide a valuable service, which is scene support in traffic. The fact there's no possible way for this board to get these guys without filing a lawsuit of taxpayers' money to get them to comply. As a private citizen, I could very simply file a lawsuit.
Go
if I-
ahead.
If
And how
I
are you
had
gonna-
standing.
So that's your scheme of joining the patrol company, just to
No.
look in there? You just said it,
No.
more or less.
No.
Yes, you did.
No,
He said he would have standing, that's not what he
I'd
said.
have to have
was the
You
only reason
know,
he's doing it.
you know
I
what
have
happened in Mayapack? I knew darn well you were gonna jump on that. Darn well.
Actually, we never mentioned the word Mayapack, you did.
I did, yeah, but he mentioned it in his email.
No.
Yes, he did.
No,
He said it to
We're
me.
talking about the public session.
I know,
You should be
but,
bringing up email.
but
from the public session.
he said that to me. Now, and we had the same thing, situation happen here before.
Anthony-
And it was cleared up.
how much money, when's the last time anybody in the volunteers has given to the board anything that shows the list of their members and how much money's in their bank
You got
accounts?
the list of the membership up in the headquarters.
No, I
Of all the
don't.
members.
No, they don't.
No, Commissioner, this is.
What's in the files? What is in the files? You showed us a file of all the people who got exempt, Dennis. You showed us who was still on the rolls. Remember you sent it to us?
No, But that wasn't, you even acknowledged that list was old and outdated.
You said you spent 5 hours on it, and you said you found who got exempt in the last few years.
Okay,
Who
let's-
took- No,
let's-
don't cut me off, Dennis.
I'll-
Don't cut me off, I got the floor now.
Okay,
You showed us that you had so many members that were still on the rolls, that were inactive. You did all that, Dennis, and I applaud you for working all those hours. So what more do you want? Now you're telling me you don't have those records up there in the headquarters?
no,
Don't tell me that.
what I did was, I went back probably 50 years and listed every member we had in the volunteer company, whether they had exempt papers in or not had exempt
Right.
papers in. The records
got the-
in the
you
fire
got the papers
department,
up there.
the records in the fire department were unorganized, and I organized them in a very
Good.
efficient manner.
Thank you for that.
And I followed up by saying, can you tell us who is active today? Because we're showing all these people active that I don't think they're active because we have 95-year-old people who are active. Can you give us a list of who is no longer active? And it never happened.
Yeah, but you just said you saw it.
No, I didn't. What are you talking? You're
You
not even close here, Anthony.
You said.
We're
pardon me?
talking a different language here, it
No,
seems
we're
like.
not. I'm talking English.
Okay.
All
Okay,
right, so let me
let's-
clarify that. all right,
Okay,
then?
clarify
All right,
it.
so his point was that since no one in the volunteers is giving him this list, right? Because you said you meet, right? You said you meet,
Sure,
right? So do you take attendance?
sure we do.
Okay. So we as a board have asked for that document dozens, probably at least 20 or 30 times. Never got it. So Dennis went out of his way, spent all his time
Right.
to research the list, and then brought it to you, brought it to the volunteers and said, can you verify this?
You never brought it to us, Dennis. Dennis, you never brought that to us. Where did you bring it to us?
You probably are unable to open the email that I sent.
No, Dennis, you didn't bring that to us. Commissioner Napolitano just says that you brought us that list.
It was communicated to you. It was
Okay.
communicated to the
It was
volunteers.
emailed to the board. It was presented.
To the board, but it wasn't brought to the
No,
volunteers.
we had it out, we had the list in public meeting.
Gave it out. It's
Gave
at the
it out.
fire department. You can go down there and pick it up. Okay, let's move on. This is not going anywhere.
Okay.
Okay. Board member comments, and then we're going to pay bills. Stephen Rattalone, I had you crossed out there for some reason.
Back to follow. I would just like to, on behalf of the local, I'd just like to thank all of you for the award ceremony earlier, and if you mentioned afterwards, it's really appreciated by the membership. It was very positive, and hopefully we'll go forward in those positive, positive attitude. And if you ever start up a patrol company, they used to meet next door. Just let us know when you're meeting so don't conflict our meetings.
Yeah. Maybe they have a few badges still around over there. Okay, opportunity for public to address the board?
Since you're going to go ahead and join the patrol company, you'd be, as any patrol member in the past, you would be required to attend, I believe, 75% of your in-town drills.
You're kidding.
You'll have to go up to the county training center and take firefighter one, just like everybody else does. So this is just more than just directing traffic, if you think it's going to be that easy.
Yeah.
And if you have a 12-month period in
How
order
many,
to pass all of that.
I don't want to go debate this forever, okay? This is just.
I'm not debating it, but you're saying we
but
got.
we don't have members who've met any standard of drills, okay, and volunteers. It just doesn't happen. You can go back and pull the records. It does not exist for the last 5 years. It doesn't exist.
The first Tuesday of every month, you had, the first Tuesday of June, every year, you got an updated list of every member that was a volunteer in this organization.
Actually, no. Tom, this has been part of the problem. I haven't seen one of those for 10 years.
Ask him why he hasn't had an inspection in 10 years. There's your answer right there.
Oh, but
There's
why-
your problem right there. Like,
Tom, we used to always get,
State law in the state of New York says you have to have an inspection once a year.
Of who?
This department had an inspection the first Tuesday of June since the beginning of time.
This is, no, but the law
You're
does,
supposed to pull the troops out once a year
the law,
on an inspection.
the law does require, though, us to pay workers' compensation insurance for all the volunteers. So every year, we spend about $25,000 on workmen's compensation insurance for volunteer firefighters who don't respond to any calls. So if I do find this somewhat of a problem, I do, I just do. I look at the bills, and I look at what we get for it, and I say, there's a problem here. And that's where I'm coming from.
Listen, like Commissioner Napolitano said, if you want us to respond, we have pages, we'll respond. Just let us know. Do you want us, yes or no?
Okay,
That's
let's
up to the chief.
go to payments of bills.
Wait. Why is it up to the chief?
It is, it's his call.
Okay, can we move on, Jerry? Let's move
we've
on.
said respond for scene support.
Okay, it's been a long night, we got here early.
Now we'll respond.
Well, that answer's been out there for a few years.
We'll respond.
Okay, we tried. Okay, here we go.
Get your pagers updated?
Jerry, let's go
You guys
payment of
have
bills.
pages?
Do we have pages yet?
Okay.
Okay, payment of bills. We have the bills and vouchers that have been reviewed by the board. The chief has reviewed all the bills prior to the meeting except the certs. After board review, we have bills marked for payment of $511,711.42. Again, $511,711.42. I'd look for a motion to pay the bills. Who would like to make that?
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Inkledon makes the motion, and a second by Commissioner Baker, hopefully, because that's what I
Yes.
had last time.
Yep.
And so, all in favor? Aye.
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 Check that one thing I told you, aye.
And Jerry's abstaining. and the one thing. Aye. Okay, so that's paying the bills. And it looks like we're done for tonight's stuff. Is anybody, board member comments?
Just one comment. Is it possible, as of January, we get a lady here to take the minutes? Because I know you're bogged down, Dennis. You you take the minutes, you do the agenda. Can't we get a lady here to do the minutes?
Well, just let me explain. For the last
Go ahead.
probably 3 years, I've been typing the minutes of the meetings up and then circulating them to the board, and then they go from there to the, after the board approves them, they get scanned into a PDF and put into our drive at the firehouse with, so we have electronic minutes going back 3 years, and I think they're fairly detailed. But I wouldn't suggest we get a lady or by gender. I don't think we want to pick a gender type to take the minutes. That's probably not appropriate. But I think the way we're doing minutes now is perfectly fine. If I'm up for election this year. If I'm not here next year to do the minutes, you may want to consider somebody else to do the minutes, obviously.
Well, I still think we always had a secretary took the minutes. I think it'd take a load off of you too, Dennis.
Right, but do you have any issue with how the minutes are done?
No, but I just think it would be a lot more appropriate if you have a secretary here or a stenographer, whatever you used to call the guys.
Well, we used to have a lawyer attend all the meetings.
Right, we eliminated that also.
We eliminated that, and if you notice, the budget last year was down 75 basis points, and this year it was down, is unchanged from last year.
Yeah, but I
So
don't
from
think a secretary's gonna get as much as a lawyer.
That's why we don't have the lawyer at the meetings.
I understand that, but I'm just saying if you had a lady taking minutes, she's not gonna get as much as a
Except for
lawyer.
Mr. Baker. Yeah, well, I think I see where you're coming from, Mr.
What do you mean, where am I
Lori.
coming from?
No, I just see I take your comment. That's that. Okay,
In other
so
words, it's out of the question.
it's up for the board next year to decide.
It's up to us as a group.
Yeah, so far, I don't think there's been an issue. If we find there's an issue, the board will address it, I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah, but it does take a lot of time to do all these little organizational things, but it feels like I get a better handle on it. Any other board member comments?
I'm in one part of your corner then, Dennis. I'm trying to help you.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. So we just paid $500,000 in bills, $1 million.
$500,000.
$500,000, I'm sorry, $500,000. So give you a perspective, if you look at fire departments around the state of New York, their average annual budget, this is on the volunteer side, is probably just as much as we paid in a month. So I'm bringing that up to give everyone a perspective on what fiduciary responsibility we have as board members. And I want to hopefully make everyone aware of how important the elections are because of that, right? It's a substantial amount of financial responsibility. It should be taken seriously. That being said, I would really want to see people come out and vote in December, the second Tuesday in December. It's very important. We'll be emphasizing it in this meeting as well as our November meeting. Thanks.
Okay.
I
Any other board?
just want to know if there's anybody left alive in patrol company.
No, there's nobody left alive in the patrol company. Not maybe that we know of. Is there, Mike?
He says he thinks there is.
Do you think there is?
Let's find
If I'm
out.
not mistaken, Eddie Spiegel was a member.
Well, let's hope there are people. I would
Spiegel?
hope there would be.
Never mind.
No, Mike Bream was in the engine company.
See, that's also part of the problem is, usually beginning of the year, we got a list of new officers of the individual companies. I haven't seen that either. So you try and communicate to these companies, we don't even know who to communicate with.
An excellent point, Chief.
Did any of you guys get email yet? Did you get an email account? Did the volunteers get an email account to communicate?
Got the ex-president.
Would and I'm not trying to be funny here, would the lawyer know who's in what company?
No, we don't need to get into this. Their lawyer is the same lawyer as the benevolent, who's the same lawyer as their treasurer. So it's not, I
He's
don't know
also
what
not
he
an
knows.
Eastchester resident.
And he's also not an Eastchester resident, and the guy who's head of the benevolent's not an Eastchester resident, and we can go on and on and on and on.
Whose pen was this?
We don't need to go there.
No, I
It's
just
been a long night.
want to know if they have an access. I'm not trying to be smart. I'm saying, do they have a roster that we could get that would tell us who's in what company?
Well, no.
They said it's in the firehouse.
I didn't say it was in the firehouse, I said it's up in headquarters.
Okay, a motion to close the meeting?
Motion to close the meeting?
Before we do that, I just want to thank everyone for tonight's, the award ceremony, the budget presentation, all extremely smooth. Tonight's meeting, we had a little back and forth, but all very good. We've had a very good season so far. So, and I don't know how the Mets are doing, so we got to go find out. Who's second to close the meeting? Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.